We're gonna go back
Why?
live.
Why do the banner? Oh,
Actually, I'm doing this. All right, all right. We are officially live, and we want to welcome everybody here to Nouveau Reach Coaching. And as you guys know, if you've been following us, we definitely want you to go follow our YouTube channels. We also want you to go and join our Twitch channel because we stream live on there too as well. If you don't know what Twitch is, that's okay. I didn't know what Twitch was either, but I'm glad I figured that thing out. So our Twitch is pretty dope. We got some great information on Twitch. We have our LinkedIn. We have all of our links on there, but our LinkedIn, our Linktree platform will give you all of our stuff. We also have a TikTok channel, brand new. And we also have merch. So you go to all those websites, you're going to see our merchandise. You're going to see absolutely everything that we have to offer, and there's going to be more stuff coming. And so we want, so we're shooting for our Nouveau Reach channel to reach 50 people by the end of next month. And so that's what we're shooting for. So we're going to need your help to join the Nouveau Reach tribe. And what that simply means is that you're rocking out with us, you're learning these different concepts. And then we're going to start inviting some of you guys on the platform because we got to hash this stuff out and talk about some great and powerful stuff. And so make sure you go and patronize all those links, go on our newsletters and all that type of stuff. We're going to be getting all that stuff out to your websites, and you'll be able to see absolutely everything that we have to offer. So we are live tonight with Coach Javon. How's it going, man? How's your week been?
it's a beautiful day, man. How's it going?
All right, it's going well. I think you need to fix your audio because it sounds real. Um, Sounds like you're a little too loud, so kind of turn it down just a tad.
How's that?
It sounds like you're in a hallway or something. that's what it. That's what it sounds
Ah,
like. Yeah,
let me take a look.
yeah. Wait, hold on. Say something again.
I said, let me take a look.
Okay, it sounds better. I don't know what was going on. I think because you pulled it away, that's probably what the deal was. So I hope we all sounding good up in here. So it does sounds real good now. All right, so Coach, we're diving in on this this new teaching, and we've been giving some powerful teaching away. And also, we have a Patreon. Patreon, you can join that and help support the channel, and help support our growth and all the stuff that we're doing. And because we're gathering people, we're gathering men and women across the board, but we really want to focus as well a lot on men. So it's just some things that we got in our hearts that kind of take us to the next level here. So we're excited about that. So we're going to be dealing with choosing and empowering beliefs. As you see the thumbnail there, we're going to be dealing with choosing empowering beliefs, and that is a powerful, powerful thing. Now, Coach, have you ever looked at things that you ever thought about in life? Well, as it pertains to the way that you were thinking at one point, have you ever looked at that and figured there was some things that you needed to change in your belief system?
Absolutely. Um, There's two or three. One of the ones that come to mind is one that my grandfather taught my mother, which is you can do anything that you put your mind to.
Okay.
In theory, it makes sense. However, the fundamentals of how that worked is just not realistic. One, just because you think about something, you put your focus on something because you go to school and get education, you practice, whatever the case may be, you can't learn anything. You can learn a lot of things, but there are some things that you cannot do. There are some things that you are not built to do. There's some things that are not you. So that's a difficult thing for people to navigate, the reality of that. However, it's a sense of truth. Now, I get why my grandfather taught my mom that, so that it builds confidence and um, causes you to have a sense of focus on a task or a idea that you want to be something or want to do something, which, at a simplistic form, I mean, it's a good place to start. But I actually decided that I was never going to tell my boys that they can do anything that they put their mind to. I tell them because I'm rooted in my faith and I'm a believer, fundamentally in the Bible. I tell my boys that they can do everything that God says they can. And they can be everything that God says that they are. That is completely different because one, it allows you to hone in on purpose, what God created you for, what that looks like, and weeding out all the other things. When you do that, especially for boys, it gives you a hyper sense of focus, and then it also allows you to maximize your efforts, and it also helps you make good decisions by pulling things out of the way that you may think that you want to do, but you actually can't do or shouldn't be doing. There are things that we may be good at, but may not necessarily should be doing. So that's one of my limiting beliefs that I had to learn to kind of put down, that I grew up hearing, that was passed down from one generation to the next. So that was kind of my really big one. I have some others, but what about you?
Okay. All right. I'm back. Can y'all hear me now?
You muted me.
I was going in, but I
Yes,
listen.
you were. I saw you. You were having a whole discourse. It was great, but I know nothing about it.
Okay, so I get to start over and do this perfect pitch here now. So, one of the beliefs, like even while looking at the list that we have here, and immediately it took me back. Um, I used to hear that money doesn't grow on trees, right? And that was during the time of just intense struggle, right? Because we were doing things that was costing more money, you know, and coming from a single parent, we were constantly. I know I was, you know, keeping lights on too long, and then, single income in the house. Grew up in the projects, that type of stuff. And so, and then I used to hear this quoted from church people that money is the root of all evil. And we're going to address that. But those are things that really stuck out to me, and there's a multitude of other things that was just passed down to all of us, I believe, because I believe if you're alive, there are a lot of limiting things that was kind of placed in you. But you said something interesting that you said it what your grandfather had said. Um, and my mom would encourage us, and she would encourage us and to kind of get out there and do some things and try to make some things happen. Um,
Mhm.
when because people have the capacity to do anything that they put time into, and there's a learning curve that they can go through. As long as you log in 10,000 hours, you can master anything. So that's a reality. Now when we start getting around church people, we always get into the whole framework of, are you called to do that? And oftentimes, and I like to push back in those areas, because when we start talking about, are you called to do something, oftentimes people are afraid to get out there and do things, and then they'll use that as an scapegoat to not
Mhm.
perform and not do certain things. Now, there are people that have literally mastered because they put in the work, and they didn't start off as being talented in that way, but they began to put in the work. And I remember, like with Prince, they say he was a prodigy, but nobody saw all the time that he spent putting in hours and hours, and he mastered every instrument, and he put the work in. Now, in Christian sectors, we always like to deal with giftings, and there are some people that are very gifted in certain ways, and they're more open and pliable to certain things. That can be true, um, but I believe we do have the essence to do whatever we want. Now, will you be able to master that and put the dedication into it? Everybody's not willing to put that dedication into it. Um, you can master certain things. Like, when you start getting down to like straight up talent, I know people that was like tone deaf, and they went and got that fixed, but they don't have the type of voice that's like star quality. They fix the tone deafness, right? And they're able to hold a note, but they don't have like that voice that can really take them anywhere. But can they do that? Yeah, they can sing, but it won't be to the place where they can command a stage like that. And so,
So you're
um,
saying there's a chance?
hey, sir, listen, with social media, hey, with social media, you can be the village
Uh,
idiot. You can be the village idiot, and people will co-sign your foolishness. And because people like to sit up and be politically correct, they will co-sign your foolishness, and they'll be lying and laughing in your face until you can do it. So with that, man, you can gather fans anywhere. So now,
yes.
and so that's the thing. But man, and I appreciate you sharing your story and stuff. So with that, choosing empowering beliefs is very, for me, I think it's very powerful that we would just dive into that whole process. All right. And so here, when we talk about choosing empowering beliefs, we all grew up in situations. There's not one family that's not dysfunctional. You can't name not one family that don't have levels of dysfunction in it.
That's
Oftentimes
right.
people are like, "Well, I'm the only one. We're the only ones that've gone through this and gone through that." There might be some things that might be unique to you, but you're not exclusive as it pertains to going through stuff, right? And so with that, there's our link tree down on the bottom. That's our website. You guys can go check that out. So we're here with the choosing empowering beliefs, and so we want to go ahead and dive in to this particular lesson here today. And so, give me 1 second, trying to navigate everything here, man. Can kind of get you off. All right. So when we're dealing with choosing empowered beliefs, we got all these outside forces that'll teach us. We got our family members that'll teach us certain things. If they're dysfunctional at a certain level, oftentimes people will pass that stuff down. And so one of the so there are very common limiting beliefs that are passed down through generation to generation and from person to person. And so I want you to be thinking about this while we're talking, from person to person, from generation to generation, like a virus. And in our teaching, we're talking about mind viruses. Those are the things that are literally limiting you and causing you not to be able to break through, get into certain situations that you can literally change in your life. And that's the reason why we call this thing Nouveau Reach too, because we want to create new wealth creators or new generational wealth creators. In the sense, wealth don't have to often deal with money for the most part. It means you can be wealthy in your relationships and those type of things, right? So it's not always connected to money, but it is also including money. And so the mind viruses are things that will hinder you from growth, hinder you from doing exceptional things, hinder you from creating a pathway for you and your family, hinder you from getting that next level in your job because you don't believe that you're fit enough. You don't feel like you have the goods to be able to move forward. And so we want to be able to challenge those belief systems to be able to get us to cross over. Now those are key words. Can you hear me, brother?
Yes, I can.
Okay, because somebody's saying that they can't read lips, so I'm trying to figure out if I'm still. I think you need to turn up your device. So, um, but with that, so mind viruses are things that we pass down from generation to generation. These are sneaky viruses, usually go undetected because they are common, they're normal in our society, and that they're rarely even noticed that they've been infected. And for that reason, they're also easy to spread from generation to generation. I've seen a family and that literally everybody get to a certain age, the men get to a certain age, and they just they got to be careful on what we say here on YouTube space and a lot of spaces, right? But they literally um, um, unlife themselves. That's the word we need to use. They literally
Yeah.
unlife themselves because they get to a certain age. And people say, well, those are weak-minded people. You don't know what's been passed down to those people through generation to generation that will cause them to even be in that space. Now, in our world that we deal with, we believe there's a greater thing that's going on within those people that needs to be challenged, right? And in the space that we operate under as it pertains to our Christian faith. So we understand that there's something different, and these people need to be dealt with, whether it be therapy. Ultimately, we believe in deliverance and people getting set free. But then beyond that, we got to be able to start talking about people who are choosing different pathways of thinking and functioning and moving forward. And even when it pertains to poverty, right? That's a mindset. That's a way of thinking that can be passed down through generation to generation. And you probably wouldn't know that there's anything else possible outside what you've grew up under. They say under psychology, from the age of 1 to 7 is that's where you get your mindset. And it pretty much sets the course for you until you start getting into the position where you start challenging those belief systems to get you out of it, right? And there are some people talented enough to be able to play sports. They were not good at it, but they clocked in the hours and they got better and physically built and got to the place where they can play sports, right? And even the people that was disadvantaged as it pertains to height. When you look at a person like Steph Curry, right? You look at him, that guy was he was considered as small, right? In his world, he was literally considered as being too small. But then look at what this brother was able to achieve. I think he's what 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", right? But
Yeah.
and he's one of the most prolific shooters of our time. And when you look at it, of course, he had some advantages because his dad played in the NBA. You know, but you look at his brother. His brothers that came out of the same household, but look at the difference between the two. People say, well, he was called to it. You know, um, he could have, if he'd have clocked in all that time as it pertains to another sport. He's pretty decent in golf too as well, right? And so he's pretty decent in golf. And the thing is that he's putting in the time. His hand-eye coordination is absolutely exceptional. And I've seen other people go through the same training that he's gone through, and just because his determination is just a bunch of things that kind of work into that space. Coach, you got some things you want to share in this, man? You want to take the next section and kind of pull us on through, because I know we got to tie some stuff up here.
Well, I wanted to jump in and ask the question of what are some other empowering or limiting beliefs. Excuse me. What are some other limiting beliefs that you might have come across?
Okay. Yeah, like I stated, the one area, and I heard this from just across the board, as it pertains to just living life from where we come up under. Money is the root of all evil. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
That affects to the core. It affects the way you see money. It affects the way how you have relationship with money. And there's so many people that's struggling with that. Even with the fact, I remember when people would say stuff like, everybody in the church is going to be millionaires. I was like, absolutely not. Because
Oh yeah, no.
some people don't know. Now, can you produce it? Remember that lady we saw last week on that teaching, and they call her the millionaire maker, right?
Mm-hmm.
They called her the millionaire maker. And there's many people that go through her class that'll spend that $2,000 or $3,000 and they don't finish it, right? They don't finish it, but she had a different concept on how people finish and start things, right? Because less than 10% of the people will finish a course, but sometimes people just come in, they'll get what they need and take off,
Right.
and go out there and master that next level because they just needed a little piece of the puzzle that they need the full
That's
capacity.
all they needed was a half. All
Yeah.
they needed was that half time drink
That's
to
right.
go ahead and make the rest of the game work. That's all
right.
they needed.
That's right. Now this is the next one, and for you guys that's going to be watching it later and looking at this stuff later. Now, have you ever seen this? Don't burn your bridges. I've dealt with that before too as well. We talk about not burning bridges, and the general concept of that is, pretty much don't do people wrong that you're connected to, which I believe in that. That's a principle, right? I believe that we shouldn't be doing those type of things. And so, and don't burn bridges where you are. But if you're around, your phone keeps going in and out too. If you're around people, which is the buzzword today is toxic people, right? That word has been overused and is normally used in one direction for the most part that we like to hear it. And so, but when you're dealing with toxic people going alongside with what we're talking about today in today's culture, and mainly the ones you see a lot of people that's yelling the word toxicity. They're some of the most toxic people around, and a lot of them are projecting. But if you're in if you're in a relationship with somebody, right, whether it be family or whatever, and the people are good to you, or they're good to you to a certain degree to where they're able to help you kind of pass over. So say, for instance, you're struggling in some areas like financially or mentally, emotionally, they're there for you, but they're still toxic and cause this problem. And they say, don't burn bridges. Now, some of those bridges do need to be burned, right? You need to set flames
Set
to
them
it,
on fire.
keep it moving. And so you, because that type of stuff will keep you connected in things that's not good for your life, right? And it'll keep you limited, and you can start carrying that stuff through every type of relationship that you come involved with, because you don't know that this thing is not good for you. And I like it how I remember the first time being in a relationship, right? And when it finally ended, I was sad for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, man, I realized how much joy I had outside the whole situation, because I did not realize that situation was what? Toxic.
Truth.
I was so happy. I said, man, I feel good. Like, right?
That's right.
And I'm like, man, I was sad for nothing. I thought I was losing something. You wasn't losing nothing. You was gaining something, right? And so those are limiting beliefs. Here's another one. Money doesn't grow on trees. If you heard that, you grew up in the project, you grew up in a one-parent home, you grew up in the struggle situation. Amen. Right? But
or you grew up in a place where money was readily available but not available to you.
to you, and that's another good take, because you got people that do have money, they're stingy with it, and they don't want to give
Yes,
it to you because they say they work hard for it. And
that's
every time you
right.
turn around, you want something, right? That's
That's
good,
right.
man. That is good. Now, have you ever heard this one before, Coach?
That is actually one of my. I was kind of waiting to get to this one. Life
Uh-huh.
is hard, because I've worked in the restaurant industry for 20
Mm-hmm.
plus years. It's very interesting to encounter people throughout my career, both young and old, who
Yeah,
have this disposition, this continuing disposition that life is hard.
yeah,
And the truth of the matter is, um, life has its challenges, but life itself is not hard.
yeah,
You know, it can be outlook, it can be position, because that's almost like looking at the other side of the the other yard from your yard and saying that the grass is greener.
mm-hmm.
When the truth of the matter is, it depends on how you manage your own grass and how much grass you got. There are some people who want a whole lot of grass, but they
Yeah,
don't want to put in the work to get they don't want to go to Home Depot and get a riding lawnmower to go cut that grass. And they also don't want to pay anybody to come around and cut the grass. So they
true,
want something that they don't want to put the work in for.
exactly.
But the reality about life is hard is not completely conceptual in our thought process, but it's also understanding that you have to make choices.
Right.
And this is one of those things I continue to encounter throughout my career in working in the culinary industry, working in restaurants, working in hotels,
Mm-hmm.
um, working in working with some really great chefs. I've worked with some chefs that are highly pessimistic.
Yeah,
They can put out a fantastic looking plate and they'll still question it.
yeah,
Um, they will work all day and feel like their productivity has been limited
yeah,
because life is just hard. This crap sucks. Everything sucks. You know, the truck didn't get here on time. That didn't happen. Those are things that happen in life, but
yeah,
that's not life. And I
exactly.
think that's one of those things that's it's almost, I believe, of the list that we have, one of the more harder things
Mm-hmm.
to get people to peel back that layer to find out where that started.
Yeah,
Because with all of these limiting beliefs, we have to be able to pull back to the layer of the root of where it initially grew and
mm-hmm.
deal with it and find out why we feel that way, what happened when it was imparted,
Yeah,
um, and how did we gravitate towards it or choose to see what was spoken as truth.
yeah,
So those are places that we've got to get to be able to point out that maybe it's not that life is hard, maybe there's just some difficult things in life, and I
exactly,
can choose to have a better life by
exactly,
making some different decisions, you
exactly,
know.
exactly. And that's powerful. Um, but it's hard for people in this sense to be able to choose something different when all we've known is the negative emotional side, right?
So how
Uh,
do you get past the emotions?
well, first of all, you go to Linktree, Nouveau Reach Coaching, and you sign up for the emotional intelligence class.
Right.
Sign up for either the cognitive behavioral stuff that helps you with the thought process, that helps you to kind of walk that stuff through and give you tools on how to challenge those things, and to erase the whole how you are affected by that type of stuff. That's the first step. All right. But if you've conquered that aspect of it, and you're able to get past that, learning how to take bad things and minimize its effect on your life is very key. Very few people have those tools. Like you
That's
have
good.
people that are able to turn bad situations into a joke. Instead of getting upset, they chosen to make a joke. That's something that I do. Like when I'm calling
Right.
you, I'm struggling with some stuff and I'm going through, I call and I tell you stuff and we be on the phone laughing for 30 minutes or so
Yeah.
on how silly people are and how silly we are in situations, right?
Oh yeah.
That's one of the tools that I use, right? To
Hmm.
be able to kind of cope with it. Now, do I get to places where I do stress out about stuff? I'm in a situation right now, but at the same token, I'm bothered because it's normal to be bothered by the thing that I'm facing right now, right? But and I go through moments where my emotions are going up and down, but I still have this level of trust. I still have my sense of humor. I still have people in my corner that loves me. I have people that's praying for me, and so I can feel safe in it, right? And so that's where I choose to live at in those spaces. And so learning how to turn on the dime, acknowledging that you have a problem, acknowledging that you are facing something, because
Hmm.
the lack of acknowledgement, you're storing that stuff up. You're setting yourself up for mental disorders later because that's undealt with stuff that needs to be dealt with, right? And so that's the reason why it's important to be able to process through those situations. And so with that, to what you asked me, I just learned how to turn that and lessen the effect of it, and
Okay.
maybe even if it buys me an hour, then I'm able to kind of prepare myself for the for me having to deal with it later. So that's one of the ways I've learned how to do that. So life is hard to those who don't have tools on how to get out of stuff, on how to flip the script, how to create a different script. Here I'm talking country, right? It's
I
script.
see you, Mississippi.
no, no, no. Black a culture. No, I'm joking, y'all. Don't get offended. All right, and you have to pay your dues, right? There are some people that people say stuff like that to keep you at a subservient situation, to where they don't ever want to see you climb up in life, and so they're kind of like the gatekeeper of that door that you're trying to go through. But you got to realize something: you can go beyond that gatekeeper based off of, like it says, the the people that succeed the most are not the smartest people that have IQ. See, in our culture, they push IQ a lot, right? But
Hmm.
it's EQ that causes people to succeed. Once a person learns how to control their emotions, learn how to look at the different factors of whether you're dealing with a low lotus of control, meaning that you feel like some outside force is out there stopping you from moving forward, or a high lotus of control, or the high producers. Those are the people that don't feel like nothing can stop them, right? They have difficulties and they have trouble just like everybody else. Trouble comes and knock on their door, you know, and they have events that happen, but they still keep pressing because they feel like they're unstoppable. And so, how do you get to that place? It takes work. It takes you training yourself. It takes you using affirmations. It takes you using prayer for those who love to pray. Understanding who God has made you to be, right? And so, like the scripture says, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me, right? So I can do things. I can break out of things and things that I'm not even talented in. If I apply myself in those ways and put action behind it, not just stand on the fact, well, I'm just quoting the scripture, but I'm putting some action behind it. I'm sharpening my skill set. I'm doing the whole 9 yards. I'm doing everything I need to do, and I'm prepared myself when opportunity knock. I'm ready. I'm ready for it, and I'm not stumbling into things. So yeah, at a certain degree, yes, you got to pay your dues, but then oftentimes people use that to hinder you and stop you from moving forward.
You know what I found? I actually was listening to a coach earlier today who was talking about finances,
Mhm.
and he was talking about how we've all been coerced into the idea that we have to wait to become rich, or we have to wait to
Exactly.
accumulate money, and
Mhm.
it needs to happen over time.
Yeah.
Um, and he was talking about the truth of the matter is if you make $250,000 a year every year for 4 years, you make $1 million.
Yeah.
But if you made $1 million in 1 year, you still made $1 million.
Exactly.
So one got here quicker than the other, and
Mhm.
there's no shame for either or.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is when we hear that you have to pay your dues, it allows you to feel like you don't deserve something that happens to you that is good, and therefore we push off opportunity before opportunity presents itself.
Yeah.
And that's a difficult thing to get someone to realize when that is happening,
Mhm.
see it for what it is, and being able to turn that behavior
Yeah.
or that mindset or what it is that you keep saying to yourself
Mhm.
or what it is that you grabbed onto and believe as a fundamental truth that I've got to do what everybody else did in order to get the very thing that everyone else did. You know,
Exactly.
for instance, Dan Marino,
Mhm.
he learned it the hard way.
Mhm.
He went to the Super Bowl his first year, rookie year, went down there, had a good time. He's like, oh man, I'll be back.
Yep.
That brother went back when he was watching his TV.
Yep.
That's the only time he went back.
Exactly.
Now he had a different problem.
Yeah.
However, the scenario is, if we don't deal with the reality of what we believe, it can hinder us in how far we get down the road.
Exactly. Exactly. And so with everything that we do, and here's a method that I want to give you. Use the flip method. If when people misquote that money is the root of all evil, money is not the root of all evil. So the Bible says, "For the love of money is the root of all evil." Money is a necessity for you to be able to live in this earth. It's an
Mm-hmm.
exchange of things. It is a value of something. It's something that we all agreed upon, that this is our exchange to pay bills with. This is what we're going to use to buy cars with, go to the movies with, eat dinner with, the whole 9 yards. So we agree to that. If the whole culture, the whole world shifts and say, hey, we're going to use stones that have a pearly look to it as an exchange for value, then the whole world will start doing that. And so, so it'd be a different type of monetary thing. Back in the days, they used sticks, right? A certain type of stick that would have certain notches on it that proved how much
Mm-hmm.
wealth the person had. And so with that, they used to pinch gold off, all types of stuff. And so everybody agreed upon that method of money. And so
Cattle.
yeah, cattle. So what I want to be able to implant in you guys, and also that I'm doing for myself, is and I'm calling it the flip method. Everything that you've learned, money is the root of all evil, and just start asking yourself the question: why is it the root of all evil? Or how can I make it not the root of all evil in my life, right? And so you got to find something. um, for us, biblically for us, it just simply means that I don't love money. I need to use money, and so I love Him first, and I seek Him first, and all those things flow from that position, right?
Yeah.
Burning bridges. Well, there's some bridges that you need to understand that you need to burn,
Yeah.
right?
Some people you just don't need in life.
There's some people that you just don't need in your life because they brought all that toxic stuff to you, and they're like a gift that gets keeps on giving. They make you feel bad every time you're in the situation. They're constantly adding layer upon layer to make sure that you don't succeed and break out of. They don't want to see you succeed. Now, it might not feel like that, but if you step back, look at it with fresh eyes, look at it with new intentions and stuff like that, you'll be able to start seeing these things. Instead of saying life is hard, say, listen, there's challenges everywhere. I'm not the only one having challenges today. Listen, what I go do when I look at my situation, I go and look online and look at third world countries. And I'm like, man, listen, I got it good. Our projects over here is penthouses in third world countries.
That's right.
Listen,
at least you have a floor.
Exactly. That's a condo in other countries. All right.
Yeah.
And so without clay floors or bamboo floors or whatever it may be. And so, our poorest over here doing well, but we're looking at Western standards. Of course, you can judge that a certain way. But when you look at the grand scheme of everything, listen, there's a difference. And talking about having to pay your dues. Yeah, I'm paying my dues. And here's the reason why I'm paying my dues. When they say you have to pay your dues, I'm flipping it, right? For a positive thing. I'm paying my dues because I found somebody that had made it in a successful way, and I'm paying to get their knowledge. So all the troubles they went through as forerunners, they had to take all the arrows in the face, all the arrows in the back. I'm following them now because they've already worked out all the kinks. There's no need for me to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to pay them to get the knowledge that they have in order for me to succeed at a faster rate.
That's right.
All the tears and the crying and stuff, I don't have to go through that because they already worked out all the kinks. They have a system. If that costs me $3,000, so be it. Because I'm going to ultimately get to where I need to be. So there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. No pain, no gain. Okay. All right. So I can limit the amount of pain that I go through if I go into a certain niche. If I go into something, I'm going to find the top people in that niche and learn from them so I don't have to suffer the pain. Same thing like paying your dues. I don't have to suffer the pain that they had to suffer. All the sleepless nights, they've already worked that out. I pay them and I get the blueprint and I follow the blueprint and then I have all the gain without the pain. Right?
That's right.
That's my flip method. Flip it all around. Find a different way out of it. Now, here we go. Good things come to those that wait. Lies. You got to go out there and get it. You got to go out there and get it. You can't sit back. There are certain things you have to wait on. The Bible tells us to wait on the Lord. Wait on the Lord don't mean that you're not productive and not doing anything. We need to kill that and bury that stuff.
Paul said, you don't work, you don't eat. If they in the camp and they ain't working, they ain't.
That's right. That's right. So
it's just that simple.
And they always said good guys finish last. In this culture, and especially when it comes down to dating and stuff, oh yeah. In a sense. Now that's a different caveat to it. Because culturally there's a certain thing that's going on to where some people want you to be a bad boy in order for you to be able to compete.
But what's really interesting though, if you look at it from the longer perspective,
mm-hmm.
The good guys have to deal with more upfront.
Mm-hmm.
However, when they do find the right person,
mm-hmm.
they generally tend to be happier.
Exactly.
And in the long run.
Exactly.
And it's not a good things come to those who wait scenario.
Mm-hmm.
It's an endurance thing.
Exactly.
So you have to endure some things.
While being active.
There's some good guys who get caught up in their 20s and find the right one, and then there's some good guys who have to wait a little while,
mm-hmm.
and they have to endure some things.
Yeah,
but they also learn some things in life.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I remember one of the ladies at our church, and she used to always teach us. She says, Chris, when you're living for Him, it's going to seem like you're losing, but just hold on. because eventually you will win. Keep doing the right things, and eventually you will win. Yeah. So, and I believe in that 100%. So, which one of these phrases were you conditioned to believe? So you can put that in the chat box for those that are live with us tonight. Um, for the ones that are live with us tonight, money is the root of all evil. Any version of that. If it's something that's not on the list that you were told, people said to you, which one of those phrases conditioned you? That's a pain point for you. That every time somebody says something around that area, it stirs your memory. It causes you to think back. It causes you to go back in time and remember when somebody said what they said to you. Which one of those conditioned you? All right. Um, um, let's see. And it says, can you think of others outside the one that we listed here? Life is hard. Don't burn bridges. Money is the root of all evil. Money doesn't grow on tree. No pain, no gain. Good things come to those who wait. Are there others? Add to that list. And then what you do is you get your list together. You add to those things, and the ones that are most difficult for you, the ones that you're struggling with, the ones that bring back all those memories, I want you to write those down. And then we're going to have to start working on a plan on how to reverse the pain, reverse the memory on that. And there are things that we can do to be able to get rid of that mind virus. There are things that we can do to weaken the acceptance of that stuff and to rewrite your life and get those things into place. All right, here we go. Can you see any fears you develop because of them? Come on, write that stuff down. Can you see any fears that you develop because of those types of things? All right. So we got to get it. Yep, that's right. She says, definitely the money misquote. And also don't burn bridges. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is real stuff. And so those are things that we have to challenge, right? So, is there any fears? Do you fear becoming successful? Do you struggle with believing that you can get to that next level financially? Right? When you're trying to break through something like Nouveau Riche, first generational wealth creators, not like old money, right? Old money people feel like they look down on people. Listen. If COVID haven't shown you how elitist people are and how they think that they're better than you, right? Think that they know better than you, telling you that you need to be wearing stuff and they don't wear it. If you think, you listen to them and they talk, people talking about carbon emissions and they flying around with 747 jets all around the world and you can barely get out the United States. They're telling you we need to reduce carbon emissions. Now, for the sake of YouTube, I'm not saying this stuff don't exist. All I'm saying is, don't be messing with our YouTube feed. All I'm saying is that there are some people who don't think the rules apply to them. Right? Here we go. Can you see any way in which they have limited you? I can. I see a lot of ways with the things that were spoken to me, and a lot of them wasn't done in a malicious manner. It was just stuff that was passed down through generation after generation, and people are not aware that they're sending those things down, and so therefore they pass this stuff along. And again, it's not by some of it's not by design, and you got some people that are nefarious, and they're like, what's the guy's name? Um, the Mike Myers, Doctor Evil. Oh yeah, you got some of them Doctor Evil types in your spirit, in your life. They sit up there thinking, and they got the bald head, they got the little mini me. Oh yeah, you got some of them in your life.
And the sad part is when we see people like that, we know they're like that, but because we see them as that character in our life, we don't find them offensive.
Yeah,
that's the difficult part. Is you getting to the place to see it's almost like in church that we have talked about for years that one, Um, the devil's biggest game is that he has convinced people that he's not there.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I never had that struggle. I never had the struggle that the devil wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't me. I had the struggle of growing up in a world where Disney started to have so much influence in what things look like
Mm-hmm.
and what good and evil is portrayed as, and seeing cartoons, it tainted my view of what evil looked like.
Exactly.
So therefore, I saw evil in front of me, and because I didn't view it in the way that cartoons presented it or Disney presented it, I struggled with seeing it for what it was.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's very powerful. But there's a tactic that you can use when you have absolutely dealt with evil things in your life. And I understand what you're saying, because the Disney effect has messed up people's view about relationships, right? And people live in that fantasy world as it pertains to relationship. I was one that was affected by the Disney effect as it pertains to relationship, and from that perspective, that's how I function in life, right? And also I had I grew up around a bunch of women, right? And which was
Mhm.
my mom and my aunts. It's not bad, but but it did affect me in ways. And I noticed when I was around other guys, it was hard for me to kind of understand certain things, that
Right,
kind of understand if a male influence was in there, and there was
right.
areas that was real, where I struggled in, as it pertains of knowing how to flow and walk as a man, right? Because I didn't have that influence. The sum total of the influence in my life were brothers sitting around the trees, drinking and playing cards and drunk
Mhm.
all 9 yards. That was the ideal. That was the thing that I saw all the time, and I avoided that stuff. But I couldn't help what I saw and what I experienced by seeing that, right? And so those are some things. So that was some limiting stuff in my world. All right. Where did the ideal come from? You know, whether it was around family members. And again, we're not trying to implement and say that people were nefarious, but there are some people that were absolutely nefarious in our life, and they was that evil character. And because we couldn't really see them, because we had the effect from all these other things, we couldn't really see them for what they really were, and to be able to deal with it. And then it asks you this question: are you sure it's true? Meaning all this stuff and any other things that are limiting beliefs that was given to you or to us, right? Right? Who told you this? You got to identify it. And are you sure that they were right? You got a question out there. So does money grow on tree? Absolutely, it grows on tree. You know why? Because they have to cut the trees down to make money. They do grow on
Until they start making it out of plastic like they do in the book bags,
trees.
plastic bottles.
But I understand the concept, and you gave a different variation. The reason why people say that, I had it from my perspective, and just all around us, just hearing it, just in the neighborhood, walking by somebody else's house and somebody else telling their kid, "You think money grow on trees? You don't get up out of here. You ain't getting that lollipop, 10 cents." Do you have evidence that goes against these limiting beliefs? Yes. For the love of money is the root of all evil. Not money is evil, but for the love of it. I have evidence that stuff is not true. I have evidence that there's some bridges that you do need to burn. I have evidence that life is not hard. We have challenges in life, but life is not hard. You can do some other things. You can change that whole world. All right. All right. Do you have the evidence that affirms the empowering belief you want to have? So you can challenge every negative belief. It takes time, because you got to understand something. This stuff was ingrained in us all. Excuse me. It was ingrained in us all, and we have to do the work to challenge it. It's not just going to happen just because you acknowledge that it's there. It's going to take you being intentional and working on it and catching yourself once you become. See, one of the powerful things is that you're going to learn out of this whole lesson here is about self awareness. If you have self-awareness will cause you to catch yourself thinking that way, speaking that way. Stop saying that stuff to your children. Stop saying that to other people in your world. You'll catch yourself. Oh yeah, and our link tree down here at the bottom, go there and join that. And then also go to our YouTube channel. We're looking to get to 50 people by the end of next month. And we want you to watch the videos so we can get our watch hours and so we can walk around with our YouTube wealth. Are y'all with us?
Comments galore.
Comment, like, share. Okay. If you and it says if you can't prove these limiting beliefs true beyond a reasonable doubt, you can discard them. So you got to be able to test this stuff out and see if it's real using rational thinking, not irrational. Irrational thinking will get you in trouble. And I have a class I can teach on irrational thinking and getting you past irrational thinking and start challenging the type of stuff that we say to make excuses for where we are, right? So we can definitely dig into that. Do you have the evidence that goes against the limiting beliefs? We did that one already. You have evidence confirmed? Yep, we did that one already. And here's the last one. If you can't prove these limiting beliefs are true beyond reasonable doubt, that's it. I already did that one. Somehow I got in that space and we're right there. So we're at the end of this particular lesson. We're coming back on next week. Coach, you got anything to say? Because I was trying to whiz through these things. And if you want this whole list, listen, go join our stuff. Drop us a comment and say you want that stuff. And then we can just go from there.
I just think it's really important that we choose the power that comes from the right beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the most important thing. Is like the statement is choosing empowering beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Making positive statements
Mm-hmm.
is not enough. Believing positive statements
Mm-hmm.
is where the growth happens.
Exactly.
It's not good enough to say, oh, it's going to be a good day today, but you actually don't believe it.
Exactly.
You actually have to fundamentally believe that good things are going to happen to you. You know, one of my favorite verses in my Bible that I found in Psalms, that I found maybe about 7 or 8 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
was that God would fill our lives with good things. He will fill our lives with good things. And I fundamentally believe that. And since that point, like we've talked about in other coaching sessions, more and more things on my checklist of things, goals that I've wanted, things that I wanted to do in my life, things I wanted to achieve, obtain. The more and more I move through life, the more and more those things keep getting met. But I do fundamentally believe my Bible when it tells me that God said that he wants to fill our lives with good things. So if you need help getting on board with the idea that your thought process has to change, or you may need to take a look at where in your thought process you need to make a shift, maybe identifying some things that you're having a hard time seeing, hit us up in the link tree, come to us so that way we can sit down, we can talk, and that way we can help you navigate through that space and find yourself on the other side and being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And if you don't believe there's light, just hang out with us for a little bit longer and we'll show you that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Exactly. And again, to reach out to us for past episodes, you can go to directly to our YouTube, go to our link tree, and on there you'll see a series that we did. You'll see one lesson that we did teach that's not on YouTube that you can get a hold of on our link tree. We also have merchandise. Go on there, get you one of those motivational sweaters, t-shirts, the whole 9 yards, and just support us. To help us up our game in a lot of other areas. We're not struggle begging because it's not the life that we're in. but we want you to, if you like what we're saying, you like what we're doing. We hit a milestone, Javon, the for the month of July. Quite a few areas of milestones that we've hit since we started doing our lives, which is cool. And we had 75 views, and we got a little 75 view achievement deal from the system that I'm using to track. Good stuff.
Nice. Nice
75.
work.
And so we're getting there, and we're going to keep pressing, pushing forward, and keep doing that hard work. And we're cleaning up a lot of different things. It's just going to get better. So we want to thank you right now for hanging out with us. We have reached our limit. We're going to do a little bit less time than this, but we're going to break this up and put it in little small excerpts and put it on TikTok and the whole 9 yards. Y'all ready for that? Because we're going to definitely be rocking. Listen, y'all have a great night, and thank you for hanging out with us. Now watch this before you leave.